Chapter 5: The Awakening of Chakra and Rivalries. Naruto stood in the clearing, panting as the fading light of day cast long shadows across the training grounds. His body flickered in and out of view, moving at blinding speeds, but something felt off. The more he pushed himself, the more incomplete it seemed. He was fast, no doubt, but it lacked substance. His flickers were swift, but there was no real impact behind them. Slowing to a stop, Naruto let his chakra settle as a new awareness hit him. His reserves were massive, far larger than anyone else he had encountered. "This much chakra, and I've been using it just for speed," he muttered to himself, eyes narrowing. He had been wasting it, tapping only the surface of his potential. He knew the body flicker technique was useful, but relying on speed alone wasn't enough. Naruto needed to find ways to incorporate his immense chakra into his combat style. Speed without power wouldn't get him far in real fights. He clenched his fists, his mind racing with possibilities. Weighted weapons? Sure, that was one idea, but Naruto was looking for something more versatile. He recalled the scrolls he had seen in the Academy's library, techniques that could enhance his chakra flow, allowing him to create devastating force behind each move. What if he combined his speed with chakra-infused strikes, or used his chakra to manipulate traps mid-flicker, catching opponents off guard? I need to figure out how to turn this speed into something more. Naruto had so much chakra at his disposal, but no way to properly channel it into combat. He realized his arsenal had to grow. Smoke bombs, tripwires, and heavier kunai weren't enough. He needed something unique to him, something that would complement his natural abilities. His thoughts raced as he made a mental list of new techniques and weapons to research and practice. The next morning, Konoha Academy training grounds. Naruto stood across from Sasuke, the air between them thick with tension. Their sparring matches were always competitive, but this time it was different. Sasuke's eyes held a burning intensity, as if he had something to prove. "Naruto," Sasuke called out, his voice sharp and clear, "let's have a real match, no holding back." Naruto nodded, his silence speaking volumes. He could feel Sasuke's determination. This wasn't just practice, it was a challenge. The fight started at a slow pace, the two circling each other cautiously. Then, in an instant, Naruto flickered, vanishing from Sasuke's view. He reappeared behind Sasuke, launching a swift strike, but Sasuke spun quickly, blocking the attack just in time. Naruto smirked. Sasuke's reflexes were sharp, but not sharp enough. Naruto flickered again, attacking from different angles, forcing Sasuke to stay on the defensive. His speed was overwhelming. Sasuke managed to block some strikes but struggled to counter. Naruto's movements were fluid, but as the battle progressed, something became clear. He wasn't landing solid hits. Each time he flickered in, Sasuke managed to evade just enough to avoid taking real damage. Sasuke gritted his teeth, frustration rising. He could see through Naruto's speed, but he couldn't keep up. Still, Naruto's strikes lacked power. If Sasuke had just one opening, he could turn the fight around. "You're fast, but that's all," Sasuke muttered under his breath. Naruto flickered once more, this time with a sweeping kick that forced Sasuke off balance. Sasuke tumbled back, and before he could recover, Naruto was behind him, kunai in hand. The match was over. Naruto had won. But something felt wrong. Naruto stared at Sasuke, panting lightly. "I won because of speed. But if I didn't have that, I would have lost." The thought hit hard. Sasuke had been right. His speed had carried him, but none of his strikes had caused real damage. If Sasuke had managed to land a single solid blow, Naruto would have been in trouble. Sasuke got up, wiping the sweat from his brow, his pride bruised. "If I can't even keep up with him now, how am I supposed to surpass Itachi?" The frustration boiled in Sasuke's chest. Naruto wasn't just a rival anymore. He was an obstacle in Sasuke's path to defeating his older brother. Though Sasuke didn't say it out loud, the rivalry was set. He would surpass Naruto no matter what. Naruto, on the other hand, was left with a bitter realization. His speed was impressive, but without a way to deal real damage, it was hollow. He needed more than just quickness. He needed a combat style that could harness his chakra and turn it into something dangerous. Later, that evening, Naruto's sensing training. Naruto stood in the forest, flickering between trees with focused precision. He wasn't practicing speed this time. Instead, he was fine-tuning his senses, stretching them to the limit. The ground-sensing jutsu had given him a basic edge, but he needed to push it further. If his speed outpaced his senses, it would be useless in a real fight. His chakra pulsed beneath him, extending his awareness to the surroundings. At first, all he felt were the faint vibrations of leaves and twigs shifting as he moved. But then, something different. A subtle presence on the edge of his range, faint but distinct. Someone was watching him. Naruto stopped, narrowing his eyes. He focused, trying to pinpoint the source. The presence was hesitant, barely noticeable, as if the person didn't want to be seen. Whoever it was, they weren't a threat, but they were definitely there. "Who's watching me?" he wondered silently. His mind raced through the possibilities. The presence felt familiar, like one of his classmates. Hinata? He thought, but he wasn't certain. The chakra was too faint to confirm. As Naruto extended his senses further, he felt something else, another presence, much more elusive. It was so well hidden that he could barely detect it at all. A slight shift in the air, a flicker of chakra, almost like it wasn't there. Someone else is here, he thought, his gut telling him who it was. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto couldn't fully sense him, but he knew Kakashi was watching. Naruto grimaced. "I can sense someone like Hinata, but I can't even track Kakashi properly." His control wasn't there yet, and that frustrated him. If he couldn't sense people hiding their chakra, his flicker technique would leave him vulnerable. He knew Kakashi was far beyond his level, but it still stung to realize how far he had to go. Anbu Headquarters, Hiruzen's office. In the dimly lit office of the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi sat behind his desk, quietly listening to the ANBU commander who stood before him, arms folded across his chest. "Naruto is progressing faster than we anticipated," the commander began, his voice calm but insistent. "His chakra reserves are immense, far beyond any normal students, and his body is adapting to high-level techniques. We can use him now." Hiruzen took a long drag from his pipe, the smoke curling into the air as he contemplated the commander's words. "He's still a child, a student," Hiruzen replied, though his voice carried a tone of concern. "That's precisely why now is the time," the commander pressed. "No one suspects him of being anything more than an academy student. His cover is perfect, and we can control his development. He's the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. If we don't act now, we might lose control of him. Or worse, he could fall into the wrong hands." Hiruzen's eyes narrowed slightly, considering the commander's proposal. "He needs time to grow," Hiruzen said, his voice measured. "Not as a weapon, but as a person." The ANBU commander's gaze hardened. Naruto is isolated from his peers, silent and obedient. He's perfect for covert operations. His progress is alarming in its speed, and we need to guide him before it gets out of hand. I propose taking him into ANBU under my command, where we can monitor his growth closely and ensure his loyalty to the village. Hiruzen leaned back, exhaling slowly. "I'll consider it," he said at last. "But for now, Naruto remains in the academy. His time will come, but not yet." The ANBU commander bowed slightly before vanishing, leaving Hiruzen alone with his thoughts. The Hokage turned to the window, gazing out at the village below. "Naruto, you're growing faster than any of us expected,"